I believe deeply that fulfillment does not always come from doing something that you want to do, but doing something that you know your future self will thank you for. Because fulfillment is, to Alan's point, you getting to the place that you have decided that you can get to.
When you're honest with yourself, underneath that is pain, and then underneath the pain is positive change, and the positive change will fulfill you. And I do believe fulfillment is a byproduct, ultimately, of alignment with your highest self, your best self.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1620, dealing with trust issues, a very deep, hyper-conscious, vulnerable episode. Had a lot of these, or a lot of those this week. Today, for episode number 1621, does fulfillment require struggle?
Yes.
And that's all. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we will talk to you later. You have a framework that I don't think I had any part in, unfortunately. My name is not attached to it, which sucks for me. But it's the joy, happiness, fulfillment framework.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about happiness, usually happiness is kind of a results-based thing. So I will have this donut, and I will be happy. Alan and I were walking out of the studio one time, and we were in very giggly, jokey moods. And I said, of course, smoking weed and watching porn are hard to quit. They make me super happy. Not fulfilled, not joyous. Well, maybe joyous in the moment, but I get the dopamine hit. It makes me happy. It's a good feeling for a very, 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 very short period of time.
Very short, yeah.
Happiness is a very quick burning fuel. If you want to get to your goals and your dreams, and you're a dream chaser and you want to get to whatever that is for you, happiness is stuff that it gives you a little burst. But usually you feel, I don't want to say you feel worse after, because I'm sure there are things, going on a walk with your partner or seeing a movie you love might make you happy. So I'm not saying happiness is bad. But what I wanted to talk about today was the fact that some of the things that are the most challenging are also the most fulfilling. I mentioned this in yesterday's episode or the episode before. I didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu. I just didn't want to do it. I was nervous. I've been out for a couple months. I don't know. Let me insert excuse here why I'm not going to go. But I was super fulfilled after.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a lot of us, fulfillment comes in reflection. Joy, I think, is in the moment. Joy, I'm enjoying this. I think happiness is usually kind of in the moment and then for a very short period of reflection, and it usually goes away. I think fulfillment is almost always a long burn in reflection. But, at least for me, most of the time that I am the most fulfilled, it's usually when I've overcome something. A hard day, a hard workout, a tough interview, something. I've overcome something. But I said to Alan before this, when I said this to Taryn recently, Taryn's family has a house in Vermont, I said, I'm so excited to go back to Vermont. I always feel so fulfilled there. We wake up, I usually get up early, I walk down to the dock, and I'll just look at the sunrise. And it's beautiful, and it's amazing, and it's in nature, and it's awesome. It's just like a different world. That brings me a super appreciation and a deep level of fulfillment. So I don't want it just to be, you can only be fulfilled if you're doing hard things, and you can only be happy if you're doing bad things. I don't want that to be this episode because I don't think that's true. But what if you would have a more fulfilled life, but that fulfillment is on the other side of things that are disguised as resistance, is my question to pose.
So I want to break this down for everyone. We do this in group coaching much more in depth, but on the last group coaching session where we did fulfillment, one of the 6 sessions is fulfillment, Kevin had a breakthrough that I'm going to eventually get to. But first, I got to kind of re-explain a little bit of what you shared
That's
there.
how I knew I did a crappy job. The second I stopped, Alan said, all right, let me explain this. But that's what I expected. Because, again, it's not my framework. I didn't create it. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'd rather just not say anything about it than butcher it.
Well, I butchered your framework a couple episodes ago.
Yeah,
I think it was
well,
last week or the week before, and
It is
you had
what
to
it
correct it like 6 times in
It's
one
all
episode.
good. It's all good.
So the 3 main parts of it's called the happiness framework is joy is the first part, which is enjoying the present moment, and that's fully short term. That's right now in this moment. Are you enjoying this moment? Are you enjoying listening to me right now? Are
Definitely
you enjoying listening to this episode right now? Kevin is saying no. All right, so joy is the first one when you are enjoying the present moment. The second one is pleasure. Pleasure is the dopamine hit that Kevin was referring to. Pleasure is I eat this donut. It is delicious. I have pleasure. You mentioned porn and weed. Alcohol falls in that category. There's a lot of things that are pleasurable that are not fulfilling. And I think that was your ultimate point.
Yeah, I messed it up.
It's okay. It's all good.
And, again, here's the thing. It depends on what it depends, right? I still partake in marijuana. Not like I used to, not in the escapism way I used to, but I've had a newfound appreciation for it, but I don't expect it to fix things. I think that's the important thing about if you're using pleasure to escape something with the hope that it's going to fix things, that's a dangerous game. I would say in anything.
Agreed. I like to explain this in this way. So, sex is a pleasurable thing. Every human who's an adult knows that. Having sex with the love of your life is pleasurable and fulfilling.
Right.
Versus some short-term meaningless relationship that's sex is pleasurable, but it's not fulfilling. And I think that's a really good example because one of them is pleasurable, enjoyable, and fulfilling. It has all 3. It has joy, pleasure, and fulfillment, which is why making love with your partner is the best thing in the entire world if you have the right partner, because it's all of it. It's the whole thing. Versus if you've ever had more shallow sexual relationships, I have in the past, so have you. Mm-hmm. They weren't, it was enjoyable, it was pleasurable, but it wasn't meaningful.
It's empty.
It's empty. It feels empty. Yeah.
If you think of the opposite of fulfilled, is empty.
Is empty. Exactly. And so picture a cup. Fulfillment is a full cup. And yes, you need joy and pleasure as well in that cup, but fulfillment is the one that drains the slowest, so to speak. And so if you've ever felt like an empty cup, yeah.
Threw up in my mouth there a little bit.
If you've ever felt like an empty cup, that is the feeling of emptiness. Burnout is another good example. So when I'm really burnt out, it's just same old, completely burnt out, exhausted, no energy, just, I can't keep doing this. That feeling of just nihilism and emptiness and hopelessness and helplessness, it just sucks. So I think everyone's kind of been there. And then the opposite is fulfilled, which is a deeply meaningful, sustainable, aligned life towards your goals and dreams. And so you've got joy, part 1. Part 2 is pleasure. And part 3 is fulfillment. And I'm not saying any one of them you should neglect. I don't think you should neglect any of them. But if you fall for what I fell for, which is called a pleasure-centered paradigm, some people have an unconscious belief that life is about having fun. They think life is about fun. And I grew up in an environment where it was a pleasure-centered paradigm. Life is about having fun. So it was parties. My mom and stepdad never missed an opportunity to go party. There was a lot of drinking. And yeah, it was a blast. It was very pleasurable. We had a lot of good times. But the problem is that pendulum swings the whole far other way, and it isn't fulfilling.
No.
And, what at one point felt really fun and enjoyable, later that night, they didn't get along, they were fighting, that it swings the other way. And so I think most things that are pleasurable ends up swinging the other way and being unfulfilling if you overdo it. Donuts, for example. Love them, always have, always will, big fan. Super pleasurable. But if I overdo it, I'm going to be unfulfilled with my physique and my fitness goals. And so I think that that's really what you want to do is find the right balance of these, the right harmonization. I think balance is not the best word. Harmonize joy, harmonize pleasure, and harmonize fulfillment unique to you, and
Yeah.
that's the sort of chicken soup for the soul type of situation that you're going to want to create.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
But first, a story. Have you ever had Krispy Kreme donuts before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When I worked
fan.
you're same. When I worked in Virginia, I had never had Krispy Kreme because they weren't up here. And Virginia down south, I don't know, beyond a certain point, they have just different stuff, and they had Krispy Kreme donuts. My buddy I was working with, Ray, we went and we each got 13 donuts, and we tried to eat them all before work.
Each,
yeah. I ate 13, and then I had to lay down, and we had to go to work after that. It was brutal.
Sick.
So don't do that. Question. This is my question for you. Recently, I would say within 2024, when were you the most fulfilled, and when were you the least fulfilled? So in the past 2 months and 22 days as of this recording.
When was I the most fulfilled, and when was I the least fulfilled?
Yeah.
I was the least fulfilled probably a week or two ago when I really took a good look in the mirror at my physique. I was in the gym, and don't do this if you're struggling with self-esteem, by the way, but I went to I lift at a gym that I used to lift at while I was a fitness model, and I took a really close look at the abdominal region.
Mm-hmm.
And as a 35-year-old man, it was it's not terrible. It's not like I think it's hard for me to explain, because let's just say it ain't what it once was. That's the best way to describe it. It was very much, okay, I wonder if I'll ever experience what I had in the past. I think
Why
the
did
best
that
is in the past.
Why did that affect your fulfillment?
Because I am capable of more, and I've really been outside of alignment with my physique goals. Now,
Okay.
I'm not like 10 out of 10 outside of alignment, but I'm not
But
10
enough.
out of 10 in alignment. Enough to where it was like, okay, and that's a great example, because at night I fast every day. I do intermittent fasting. I really don't like to skimp in the evening. So I work all day, pretty much every day. I used to kind of not say that stuff, but all day, every day for the most part. And Sundays are less of that, but still. And and I fast all day, so I don't eat. I haven't eaten since 10 o'clock at night yesterday. It's 12:30 p.m. right now, and I fast almost every single day. When I get to the evening, not only am I cooked and I put it all on the court, so to speak, I don't want to track a calorie. I just want to enjoy my evening.
Same.
And so last night,
That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. Last night, for example, for dessert, I had four Reese's. These Reese's eggs for Easter. Oh my God!
So that was
good.
about $1.30 each.
Yeah, at
calories?
least probably
calories
150 each, and then like a full cup of milk, like a 4-year-old, just loving it. And there's some protein in there, it is what it is. And the milk is skim, right? So it is what. I'm not completely off the rails, and I don't want to make this about me, but it is important for everyone to understand that when you're outside of alignment with your goals that are meaningful to you, you will be unfulfilled. But I also am unfulfilled when I'm tracking every calorie and stepping on the scale twice a day and dialing everything in. So you got to figure out how to harmonize joy, pleasure, and fulfillment. And for me, food is definitely something that I enjoy deeply. And it's unfulfilling when I'm overly scarce and overly concerned about it, but it's also unfulfilling when I know that I'm leaving my physique potential on the table. And so I have to constantly swing the pendulum sort of back and forth on that. And I say that not to shame myself, but to really be honest with myself, because for the listeners, when you're honest with yourself, underneath that is pain, and then underneath the pain is positive change, and the positive change will fulfill you. And I do believe fulfillment is a byproduct, ultimately, of alignment with your highest self, your best self. So when people say, I want to be the best version of myself, what they're really saying is, I want to work on me to grow in ways that are meaningful, so that I can look in the mirror and honestly say I'm proud of you. And that's really what I couldn't say at the gym when I was unfulfilled.
Okay. All right. When was the most fulfilled?
When you asked me that originally, which I really appreciate, I actually thought of this morning. So this morning I did 20 minutes of mobility. I've been writing every single day for all of 2024, which I couldn't achieve in 2023 for whatever reason. I'm coming up on 2 years of exercise, 30 minutes a day. And I've just been really consistent at pretty much all of the things that I struggled with last year. And I just had a lot of pride and fulfillment this morning with how on point I've been with things that I've struggled with so much in the past. WhatsApp and email, these things that just pile up. So I would say this morning.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there. The reason I wanted to ask is because I wanted to show how fast it can change. Right now, I'm not super fulfilled. When I say not super, I'm probably like a 7 out of 10. But it's just because I'm stressed and I'm doing stuff every day in a piece of the business that I just don't really want to be doing, but that's what it takes right now. That's necessary. It's not...
Well, let's do this. 0 to 10, how fulfilled are you in health?
I told Alan Monday when we met, I said I intentionally went so far off the rails this weekend with food that I knew it would make me get back on the rails. So I am tracking every calorie. I'm back in jiu-jitsu. I'm lifting. So
Cream of wheat.
I got 3 big packs today. I got Cinnabon, banana, and what was another one? I don't know. Brown sugar. I would say probably 8 out of 10. I'm very, very happy with the process. I'm very, very fulfilled with the process, but I'm not super happy with the current result.
Makes sense. The results lag the process.
Yep.
Okay, 0 to 10, how fulfilled are you in wealth?
We've been a little reckless with money. So probably like a 6. I do really well when we have extra money in the bank because it just helps me not have to be hyper-focused on that.
And when Kevin says reckless, I just want to make this clear. We've invested a ton in team and a ton in the future.
I like saying reckless. Sounds better.
We've overinvested a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're still in good shape.
And
but
again,
I just want to make that clear because
I think we all have very unique set points when it comes to that. I'm somebody who is very, very attached to money. So again, trigger warning. You might not have that same relationship with money, or you might even villainize me when I say something like that. So always just understand what it means to you. What it means to you. I think that's always important. For me, when I don't exercise, I'm not as fulfilled, but it's not the end of the world for me. But when we are financially scarce, that's a bigger weight on my shoulders, I would say. So yeah, probably like 6.5.
And then love.
I'd say 9.
Love's the good one right now.
Love's the good one.
The way you are with money is the way I am when Emilia and I are 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It feels impossible to be fulfilled when I'm not certain that her and I are rock solid. Which again, that's a strength, but it also comes with this huge weakness of how do you stay self-reliant? And so health, wealth, and love, I think all of us have one that is attached to our deepest wound. And if you go back 2 episodes ago, we talked about the deep wounds, and I talked about unlovable. Kevin talked about not capable enough, or I think I talked about Kevin being or feeling not capable enough deep down. If you think of money for him, that's more success-oriented. So all this comes down to what you feel the most in control of. So I never felt in control of success in relationships, intimate relationships in particular.
Yeah.
And now I understand why I didn't understand what I was doing. But the more and more that you learn about intimate relationships, communication, trust, emotional maturity, all these things, the more you feel in control of it and the less scarce you get when challenges arise. And for you, you're way less scarce with money now than you were years and years and years ago when you had no idea how to make money in business.
Yeah.
And it's night and day. So this is also a sliding scale. This is a trend line that it's a mountain that we climb. So even though he's a 9 out of 10 in his intimate relationship, that 9 is different than the 9 that it used
100%.
to be because your standards are way different. So it's a sliding scale. Which
even
is impossible to explain.
Yeah, I could never explain it. It's a scale that slides. It changes depending on the things that are on the scale. That's it. That's the best I could say. And time. The hard thing about fulfillment is when you know what fulfills you and you choose not to do it anyway, that's when it really sucks. The reason I went off the rails and just ate like garbage is because I'm mostly upset with myself that I haven't been doing. I know what to do. I just haven't been doing it. I've been too lazy. Or I've been overwhelmed or stressed or my priorities have been all over, whatever the label is. But the truth is I know what to do. I just haven't done it. So when I don't do that, it really hurts the fulfillment because I know better. When you know better, you can do better. And I know better and I know I can do better. Sometimes we've had this dialogue behind the scenes, ignorance is bliss. When I didn't know how to succeed in business and make more money and all that stuff, I felt out of control and I felt kind of hopeless. Now it's more of a pressure and a weight and a responsibility.
Yeah.
But the fitness thing is too. Now, I'm not saying whether you're watching or listening, you're in the same boat yet. That's okay. But hopefully you're more aware than you used to be. So now you understand. I think it just helps you not go off the rails as far. The alarm goes off quicker. Like ding, ding, ding. Oh, something's happening here. Something's happening. I use an app, a different app. I don't use MyFitnessPal MyFitnessPal. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
To track calories. I use a different app. I knew I was jeffing when, you know how when you don't use an app for a long period of time, it goes to iCloud and you have to re-download it?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew I was jeffing. Because I haven't used it in 3 months and it just went away. Just went up to the cloud. They assumed I was done with it. So I had to re-download the app to use it. That's how I knew. So that's just a good measure for me. But this would be my next level nugget for this episode. I believe deeply that fulfillment does not always come from doing something that you want to do, but doing something that you know your future self will thank you for. Because fulfillment is, to Alan's point, you getting to the place that you have decided that you can get to in health, wealth, and love. Why is it called a fulfillment center? Amazon fulfillment center, where they fulfill your orders to make whole. They take your order, they put it in the box, they put the label on it, they put the tape on it, and that order is now fulfilled, and then they ship it. To make whole, to bring together, to make complete. And I think that's what we're all trying to do, is we're trying to figure out what would the most complete version of me be. That's going to be the most fulfilled version of you, but there will be days that you have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you also will have the chance to celebrate those days, and I think that can also be fulfilling.
I'm doing the Dreamliner every single day. I've been talking a lot about that on the show. The Dreamliner, for those of you who might not know, is a journal that NLU created that helps you stay in alignment, essentially, with your dreams. Dreamliner, in alignment with your dreams. And I've been taking notes every day because every day has, gratitudes, and it has MITs, most important win, most important improvement. It has your next level nuggets, and it's got whether or not you tracked excuse me, checked off your habits.
And MIT
And
is most important tasks for those who might not know.
Yeah, most important tasks. And then on the right, there's just a blank page. And on the right is where the notes section is. And a couple days ago, just first thing in the morning, I do my dreamlining. And this came to me. And I don't know, maybe we'll do an episode on this at some point, but we're going to create a digital asset. I do know that. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I think it's going to be the self-actualization pyramid, but we'll see. The bottom of it is self-belief. How much do you believe in yourself? And to Kevin's point about the fulfillment center, if you have level 2 self-belief, but you're operating at level 1, you're going to be unfulfilled because you know you're capable of more. You know what else is true? If you have level 2 self-belief and you're shooting for level 8 goals and constantly losing toward those goals, you're going to also be unfulfilled. I think fulfillment is consistently and incrementally growing your self-belief and self-worth, which I'm going to get to. So the bottom of the pyramid is self-belief, and I think that's where everything starts. The second part of the pyramid is self-worth. The third is self-discipline, which is doing what you know you should do even when you don't feel like it. The next one is self-trust. When you have self-belief, self-worth, and self-discipline, then you start to trust yourself. You keep the promises you make to yourself. You start to say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, and then you actually do it. One of the reasons I'm fulfilled is because I actually am keeping the promises of writing every day. I'm keeping the promises of mobility every day. Okay, self-respect comes after that. When you start to trust yourself and you have self-discipline, self-worth, and self-belief, all of a sudden you start to have self-respect. And you have to maintain that by standing up to bullies, honoring boundaries, not going out when you know you should go to bed early, that kind of thing. And then eventually you lead into self-love. And self-love, from a genuine place, non-ego place, I think is actually being able to look in the mirror and go, I am so proud of who you've become. And I love who you've become, especially through all the shit you had to crawl through. And then the last one is self-actualization, which means achieving your actual dreams. So you actually prove to yourself that you could aim high and achieve it. And whatever high means for you. And the front of the Dreamliner is a mountain for a reason, because we're all climbing our own mountain. Some people want to climb Mount Everest. Some people want to climb, Mount Wachusett. The only thing that matters is that you're climbing a mountain that is the right size for you right now, so that you can actually build the self. Because that whole pyramid, all of it started with self. Self-trust, self-love, self-respect, self-actualization, self-belief, self-worth. And when you focus on building the self, which is what NLU is about, holistic self-improvement, then you don't want to hurt anyone else. Then you are fulfilled. Then you want other people to win. You want to see other people win. You love other people climbing. And that's the world that I want to live in, and I hope everyone else does as well. So I'm going to create a digital asset for that. If anyone wants it, please email me, alan@nextleveluniverse.com. And ultimately, I think that's what we're all looking for, is we want to look in the mirror and be proud of who we've become. And we want to be able to say, I've done all I can with all I have. Not from an ego place, but from a genuine, sincere appreciation place.
Every time I hear self-actualization, I imagine a tornado of stardust bringing me to the top of a mountain.
Why?
It just kind of sounds stardusty to me. It just sounds out there in a good way, not a bad way. Yeah, it sounds out there. It's like stardust tornado to the top.
Self-actualization.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It is.
To actualize oneself. It's heavy.
Well, you have the quote of the imagination thing?
You want to go for it? Give it a shot? No, wrong.
Wrong.
Hold
on. Your life becomes the parts of your imagination that you hold on to and pour into the longest.
Wow. Your reality, I say. Your reality becomes. Because there's a nice opposite between reality and imagination. So you have
need both.
The words are important. Words are important. Next Level Nation. If you have not yet purchased your tickets for Next Level Live 2024, whether they be in person or virtual, please do so. Alan and I were talking behind the scenes before this, and we were talking about how every time we have a new round of group coaching opening up, we'll talk to a lot of people, and we'll get messages, and we'll have conversations going, and people say, when does it start? We'll say next week, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And they say, all right, cool, I'll let you know that week. And usually the people that say, I'll let you know that week, unfortunately do not get a seat because it ends up filling up. A lot of people wait to the last minute before they do something, but that also means if you're waiting to the last minute, you might not have an opportunity, and we do not want you to miss that. So get your ticket early, whether it be virtual or in person, to make sure you can lock your spot. Link will be in the show notes as always.
And if you do come in person, you get one of these Dreamliners. We actually ordered those yesterday. Author copies of the next level Dreamliner. 30 of them are shipping to my house currently.
Nice.
And we will be bringing those to the event with us. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about book club. So book club is free every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a group of like-minded individuals, next-level books with next-level people. We are reading The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. It is a philosopher talking to a young youth, and they are having a philosophical debate about the meaning of life and how to have more courage and lean into who you really are. And that's why it's called The Courage to be Disliked, because many of us fear judgment, myself included. And I think that we all are going to have to overcome that in order to achieve our dreams. And book club will definitely help you do that because it's a safe space that's private, not recorded, where you can really be who you really are.
I love when you say it's a philosopher talking to a young youth. I like that. I enjoy that.
Stardust
Tornado. To the mountain top. Tomorrow, for episode number 1622, an important lesson in comparison. We've talked many times about comparison. We have episodes on it. But I'm trying to figure out a really good analogy or example of how to break free of it. If there was a way where you could catch yourself in comparison and say, oh, interesting, it's actually different for me than it is for that other person. So even if I am comparing, I'm comparing the wrong parts of the journey. That's what I want to accomplish in tomorrow's episode. So please tune in for that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay fulfilled. Next Level Nation.